On behalf of the MicroChannel BI team, we thank you, our loyal SAP Business One customers, for joining us here today. As we all know, SAP Business One is a feature-rich and complete solution. So why are we here today, and why Qlik? What business value or justification is there for adding Qlik as a BI solution on top of SAP Business One when you might already have dashboards or reporting? So these are all good questions, and in this session we will try and answer these questions, and we hope to excite you as we sort of show you how Qlik for SAP Business One can help you elevate your business and also provide greater return on investment on your existing SAP Business One environment. Just before we get into it, just a few things to keep in mind. Out of the box, Qlik will help uncover data, hidden data, process it, and then present it to you in meaningful ways. Hidden data could mean efficiency improvement, sales opportunities, failure reductions, etc. Qlik allows you, without any technical knowledge, to easily drill into your data and ask questions. It's that simple. Let Qlik tell you when you need to take action through smart alerts. Qlik is always on, always looking for opportunities and potential issues, and it has your back. The agenda for today, we're going to look at how to uncover new opportunities and inefficiencies with existing but unknown data within your SAP Business One environment. Try and identify some important opportunities with proactive notifications and alerts. Answer critical business questions and inspire innovation. Support data-informed decision-making across your organization. And we'll show you a demonstration of the 50 pre-built KPIs, reports, and interactive dashboards that we have built. So let's start looking at the data challenge. So the data challenge is real for pretty much all of the organizations across the globe. Despite significant investments in data and analytics, most organizations still only get very limited results. Only 44% of organizations have enough data available for making decisions. Only 29% of executives achieve transformational business outcomes. And only 35% of executives see poor data literacy as an important roadblock. But it doesn't need to be this way. There's also great opportunity within all of this data. Yet, the few who've done it right see significant financial and operational benefits. We've seen a 76% increase on operational efficiency. 75% say that the revenue increased, and 74% says that they've seen an increase on profit. So what does this tell us? As data becomes available, it becomes more valuable and helps drive business decisions based on meaningful insights provided by BI tools. And this brings us to the data analytics data pipeline by Qlik. So the data analytics pipeline effectively transforms data into informed action to enable active intelligence for organizations. We'll start looking into the 4 pillars of the active intelligence data pipeline. And we'll look at the first one, which is freeing the data. The freeing the data is basically where we start. This is where data is brought into the Qlik platform. This can be done in various ways, from streaming data to periodically updating. The second one is finding the data. And finding the data means, looking at organizing or cataloging your data and making it easier for user to shop for their data. And I'll try and demonstrate that for you now by jumping into our Qlik SaaS environment. So this is the Qlik Cloud. This is our hub, as we call it, the Qlik SaaS homepage. This is what you will see when you log into your Qlik environment. This is all run in the cloud. Nothing is required to be installed anywhere. And what you basically see is your applications, your charts. If you're monitoring any specific charts, you can see a quick preview of your data, some of your links that you've got that takes you to anywhere. This is basically the home page, but I'll just jump straight into the catalog and show you what I mean. So if I go to the catalog, I also have different spaces. So I can look at my specific space, which in this case is the SAP Business One demo, and I've got all these data files. And these data files could be Excel spreadsheets, or in this case, it's QVD files. So these QVDs, which is what we call a Qlik data file, has been generated from extracting data from an SAP Business One environment and cataloging it so our users can come and shop for data. So if I want to look at what is inside this account data file, I can just select it over there, and I can see all this metadata available. So I can see all of the fields, the counts of the number of fields, the distinct values, the field names, etc. I can also view the data. So if I click on view fields, there I can look at a tabular view of the actual data inside it. There's different ways I can view this data. And then I also have the option to look at the lineage, the impact analysis. So I can look at where this data is being used at the moment. I can see how many different applications are looking at this data. There's lots of information available. And then finally, I can create an app straight from here. So I can start looking and working with this data. I can then include various other data sources as well and start creating my analytics application. All right, so I'll just jump back into the home page. So that's our Find It pillar in the Active Intelligence platform. The third one we'll look at today is the Understand. So this is the fun part. So this is the actual analytics that you dive into the data and look at the different charts that's available, etc. in your data. And I'll show you this now. This is also where we've spent a lot of time in creating out-of-the-box templates that can be applied within your organization on SAP Business One. And I'll jump straight into that as well. So this is my SAP Business One application. If I click on the Open App button, it takes me straight into it. As you can see, this is the landing page of this application. I've got multiple sheets available within this application. It starts on basically an overview of the dashboard, and then we start by diving deeper into the data. So in this specific model, we are focusing a lot on the sales side of things, although we do touch a little bit on the stock and the supplier spend, but it's mainly sales focused. And you'll see we start looking at products, then we've got customers, stock management, sales rep performance, etc., all the way down to the transaction details, where we can query transactions within our data. So we will be able to look at document numbers, the person who has posted the transaction, what time, what date, all of those details is available to us. I'll start by showing you what the dashboard looks like. So if I just click on that, it takes me straight to my dashboard. So the basic idea around a dashboard is that you can, with a glance, look at where you are at a specific point in time. So basically, you don't necessarily have to click on anything to be able to get your answers. However, everything on this dashboard is interactive. I can click on everything and anything, and you'll see as I make my selections, everything on the screen will change immediately. If I dive into 2022, you'll see I can look at my sales from January to September. At the top here, I've got high-level KPIs. So this is my this year versus last year. We've got some coloring functionality built in here. So red obviously showing me that I'm a bit behind than I was last year. Gross profit percentages. Over here, I've got my sales against budget. In this case, I'm over budget. So just to demonstrate that I've got a green and it's showing the up arrow. So things are looking good. Gross profit this month and then gross profit percentage this month. So let me just clear the selection. This chart over here shows us the total sales for all of our years available. And as you saw, if I click on a specific year, I can drill down into the actual month. So what this basically shows us is total sales for the years and the months, but it's also colored by gross profit percentage. So what we are looking at here is January has a 37% gross profit percentage, while the month of May with a very similar sales value has got a 60% gross profit percentage. And that's why we've got a darker color. So it's just visually giving you a very quick overview of where you had stronger months. So just while I'm talking about this selection bar here at the top, before I clear it, this is where all your selections are recorded. So the nice thing about Qlik is that you can always see what you have selected. So if I select the month of September as well, I can select multiple months, so September, August, July, and June, just by clicking on it. And I can click this the green confirm selection button over here. And you'll see at the top here, I've got the month selected 4 out of 12. If I click on that, I can see which months I've selected. I can also include or exclude some of the months and just confirm my selection again. These selections are carried throughout the application. So if I jump from here into my customer sales analysis, I will still have these selections available. I can clear them from here, or I can use this clear all selections button, where I can then look at everything again. I also have a back and forward button, and I also have our very intelligent smart search button, where I can pretty much search for anything within my data. What I want to show you here at the bottom is just some functionality in terms of switching dimensions. So this is a very standard bar chart comparing sales against budget for our sales representatives. So as you can see, the different colorings in the bar, the one representing actual and the other one representing budget. But I can also apply logic to switch between different dimensions. So if I wanted to look at this budget by customer group instead, I can do that just by clicking a different dimension over there. The second one, or the third one that we've got here, is the sales this month versus last month, and this is basically just showing us that we are 89% away from hitting our target for last month on the sales side. Then we've got sales by customer item group. This allows you to select within the chart as well. This is called a tree map, and basically the block size shows you the contribution of each of the item groups in terms of the sale. The last one here at the bottom is a Sankey chart, and this is basically showing you how your salesperson has sold different items into different cities. So if I look at John Smith, for example, selecting him there, I can see that he mostly sells into Paris, and the rest of the cities are not captured within our system. This is a demo environment, so note that the data could be a bit wonky. If I clear my selections over there, then lastly, what I have are these open document counts. So I've got open deliveries, sales orders, quotes, and purchase orders. These can be anything in your system. And basically what it is just a count of the total document numbers. So there's 41 open delivery notes, and the value is $61 in this case, very small value. But on the sales order side, there's 382,000 that hasn't been delivered or invoiced. And the important thing about this is that I can quickly, just by selecting this, if I click again, it will take me straight into those sales orders, and I'll show it to you in a second, which is basically just a list of the document numbers with the products, the customer, and the values that are still open, and I can query them immediately and have a look at why they haven't been delivered or invoiced. So this is the dashboard. The next one I'll jump into is the product sales analysis. And you'll see I can either click on this drop down over here that shows me all the sheets that's available, or I can click on this little page button that takes me to the next sheet. I'll select the product sales analysis. And as you can see now, we are mainly looking at everything product related sales. So we've got a table here looking at products. I've got my item code, my item name. I've got sales this year versus last year. I've got a variance, I've got quantities this year versus last year, and some variances and variance percentages. Some very basic pie chart that shows me the percentage distribution between my product properties, sales by item group, and sales quantity by sales rep. So this one is also very interesting. This is a second dimension that has been added to our tree map. So with this on the sales volume side, I can see that Nick Weber is the biggest contributor, or he sold the highest volume of products, where Sophie was in second place. And then, but what I can see for Peter is that the accessories was his biggest contributor to his volume, where the other guys were on the component side. So just a nice way to look at the data. And then we've got a snapshot of our stock holding. So stock value, the number of products, and then a simple calculation just to calculate stock days. Again, just note this is a demo environment, so those calculations might look a bit weird. And then we've got this sales versus gross profit percentage. This is a scatter chart, and basically what that allows you to see is that you could have some outliers where you could potentially be increasing gross profit percentage, or just to identify some of the problem areas. I can, by selecting this chart, I can use this little lasso and circle a specific selection and drill into it, or I can look at a specific category, making that selection, and then looking into the product category. Just give me 1 second. It looks like my computer has hung on me. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so if I click on PCs again, I can now see all of the individual products within the PCs category. So if I choose a different category, like maybe the items, I can see there's quite a number of items in this section over here. So this chart is very interactive. Oh, sorry. So if I want to select that area over there, I can do that. I can also use the mouse wheel on my mouse to zoom in and out and look at different areas within that chart. Right, and then one thing that I want to mention is that we didn't have on the dashboard is these filter boxes. So these filter boxes are very important. So within Qlik, within this specific model, the way that it's designed, it's looking at all of your data all of the time. There's no exclusions. So if I've got data for the last 25 years, then this sales by item group is going to show me that's the sales by item group for the last 25 years, unless I specifically design this chart to exclude or only look at year to date or this year, for example, like we've got with these values here at the bottom. But I've got these filter boxes, which the idea is that you select and dive into deeper into your data. So if I select the year 2022 over there, you'll see that all of the values changed on my screen now, And I can also look at, let's say, the month of July. Maybe let's include August. So for the month of July and August, this is what my sales are looking at. This year versus last year's sales will compare the month of July and August with the year before. If I change this to 2010, for example, you'll see that this also updates to show me the sales for 2010 versus what we did for 2009 for July and August. So it's important to understand that this is all about making the selections and having everything dynamically change and interact with what I've got selected. I'll jump into the next one, which is our customer sales analysis. This one now very similar to the product one, just focusing a little bit more on the customer side of things. At the top left here, I've got a very quick snapshot of my age analysis as of the end of this month. So when we bring the data in this specific model, it's brought in on a daily basis overnight. We take a snapshot of the aging for the customers as at the end of the current month. And that's the value that you are looking at here. So this is just a snapshot. The second one here, customer balance versus credit limit. And also functionality around that. Then we've got sales by customer. This again is colored by gross profit percentage. So as you can see, this number 3 customer, very high in revenue, but not necessarily the best on the gross profit side. Then I've got sales by country and city. So this one, again, drill down functionality. If I want to look into Australia, I can just click Australia over there, and it immediately shows me the split between my main cities that I've got defined in my system. As you can see, everything on the screen now changed. We've got on the bottom left here an interactive map. These maps are highly customizable. We can do heat maps, we can do distance calculations, you can do all kinds of stuff, all the way down to street level. They are very interactive. If you've got the addresses for your customers and the information on postal codes, we can plot every single sale that's taking place. And then we've got this customer sales details, which is again similar to the product one, although we are looking at the customers. So we've got the sales for this month, for this year versus last year, variances, variance percentages, and then gross profit as well. On the top right hand side here, we've got the total outstanding. So this is the total debtors. So if you add all of these up, it gives us 7.6 million. The number of customers is 7. So again, these have changed now because I've made a selection. So I'm looking at 7 customers that's in Australia. If I drop the selection, you'll see it gives me all of my customers. So I've had 20 customers and a total outstanding of 27 million. These are the number of invoices posted, how much discount I've given, and the number of credit notes posted in the system. I'll jump to the next one, which is our stock management. Stock management is focusing a little bit more on the stock side of things. We've got at the top left here, we've got a list of our products with on-hand quantities, minimum levels, maximum levels, and variances available. Very basic, but very handy. At the bottom left here, we've got stock value by warehouse. So if I look at my general warehouse, I can see that I've got 26.2 million in that warehouse. If I want to look at what is in that warehouse, I can click on that and make that selection. As again, everything is changed on the screen. So now everything listed here at the top, that 85,000 that I have on hand equates to the stock here in the bottom left. So these are broken down by category or item group. And again, I can go further and look at the PCs that's valued at 10 million and look at exactly what they are and where those values are coming from. So I've got that functionality of drilling all the way down to the lowest level. At the bottom right here, I've got a table that's basically showing me the values of my products within each warehouse. And as you can, let's just take this product over here. As you can see, this product exists in my backup warehouse, my bin warehouse, as well as my general warehouse. These are the quantities I have on hand, the average cost per warehouse, as well as the stock value for that specific product. If I clear my selections again, I'm looking at all of my data. Here I've got a snapshot of my stock aging by value and quantity. These I can switch between giving me the breakdown by value or by quantity. So if I just enlarge this, you'll see that I've got this little eclipse button here, and I've got this exploration menu. In this menu, I can switch between quantity, which you'll see gives me different values and breakdown percentages, or values. So I can have as many measures defined within these charts as I want. I can have the users select which measures it is that they want to be looking at. I can even swap out the dimensions if I wanted to. And then finally, this little chart here at the top right, this table, gives me all of the products that I haven't sold in the last 180 days, or I can change that to last 90 days, show me everything that I haven't sold for the last 60, etc. These can obviously be changed, or you can even have a little input box where you can type the number of days that you haven't sold a product for. And then I'll jump to the next one, which is our sales rep performance. All right, so now we are looking at our salespeople. As you can see, top left-hand side here, sales versus budget for the year 2022. This chart has been hard-coded only for the year 2022, and it's just because in my demo data set, I've only loaded a 2022 budget. So I can look at my salespeople here, I can make selections, and if I want to look at Nick Weber only, I can see everything that Nick Weber has done. At the bottom here is just a different view of pretty much the same information. Now I'm looking at my salespeople across different months. So January, February, March, and I can see sales, budget, variance percentage. This can be exported into XLS. So in an Excel file, just by right-clicking and sending it to an Excel spreadsheet. The formatting is exported exactly in the same way that you are seeing it here. And then I've got the sales rep, the performance by rep, which is similar to the one that we saw on the product side. This one is the salespeople and the product categories that they have sold in. And then lastly, I've got the sales versus budget by month in a pivot table. And these pivot tables are very interactive. So if I just make that a little bit bigger on my screen, you might be able to see a bit better. I see my sales, I see my budget, I see my gross profit. If I want to look at, this is salesperson first. If I want to look at the customer first, I can just flick that across. And now I'm looking at it by customer. If I want to look at it by product, I can do that as well. If I want to look at my product and customers by salesperson for all of these, I can drag that in, and as you can see, for each of my measures now, I can see all of my salespeople next to each other. So very interactive in terms of pivoting. The next sheet I'll show you is our credit notes and returns. So there's actually a lot of customers that don't even know that this functionality is available within SAP Business One. And this is tracking return reasons and actions on credit notes and goods return documents within your system. So you can define and specify specific reasons and make it mandatory for users to capture when they post a credit note or a return document. And as you can see here, this is a very nice way looking at why products are being returned, why credit notes are being posted, etc. So we've got the return reasons over here. We've got the return actions. These can be customized, by the way. This is just some demo data that I've captured. Number of credit notes and returns by sales person. So I can actually look and see maybe I've got a salesperson that's continuously making mistakes or delivering the wrong product or something to that effect. I can look at that. If I want to look at what happened over there, I can make that selection. I can look at which customers are returning the most product. And I can also look at the lowest level of detail here. So the document, date, the number, the customer, the product, the return reason, the quantity that returned, and the value. I also have these KPIs here that shows me the number of credit notes, the number of returns, return value, and the quantity. And this one here is just showing the quantity returned by item group and item name. So if I wanted to get the details of that, I can select it and drill down into the actual product that was returned for a specific customer as well. And as you can see, it gives me all of this information. Okay, and then the next one, we've got the supplier spend. This is a very basic overview. I don't have a lot of supplier information within my demo database, but it's a very basic overview of the supplier side of things. So as you can see in the top left here, I've got overdue purchase orders, basically just a list of my suppliers and the total value that's open on a PO. Bottom left here, we've got very similar to what we had on the customer side. We take a snapshot of the aging for the suppliers as of the end of the current month. This one over here is spent by item group, so just listing the total purchase value by item group. Again, I need to make my selections if I want to look at something specific. So if I want to look at the year 2022 only, I have to make that selection. This is the spend by supplier, so the individual suppliers and the total purchase values. The purchases by country and city, if they were defined. In this case, these three guys don't belong to a country or city, so it just shows as none. And then I've got the total owing, so the total amount that these guys owe me, the number of suppliers, the number of supplier invoices that was posted, the total discount amount, and the number of credit notes. If I just remove those selections, you'll see across all of my database, I can see that I've received a total of 1.5 million discounts. I've posted only 12 credit notes, which is fantastic. And these are the numbers. The next one I'll show you is the open documents. So this is the one that I spoke about on the dashboard. So if you click on open document count or value for the delivery notes or purchases or sales orders, it will bring you to this open documents sheet. And this is very basic, a list of all of the open documents that exist within the system. So in this specific scenario, we're only looking at 4 different document types, which are sales orders, delivery notes, purchase orders, and sales quotations. And I can look at this by document count, by value, and by the open quantity. Here I've got a list of the individual documents. So I've got the document number, I've got the posting date, I've got the customer, the product, the open quantity, and the open document value. We'll jump to the next one. This one it's quite handy to look at your master data. So basically, this is just sort of an extra that we've added, and it allows you to look at all of your master data in one sort of place. You can look at customers, suppliers, products, and warehouses. This is one taking a bit long to load. There we go. So what that basically does, it's you can look at, if you had customers that wasn't assigned to a customer group, you'll see a null value here. This one, you can see this customer has been made inactive on the 1st of the 8th, and the reason is not paying bills. You can see the credit limit and the customer balance, but basically just allowing you to see the suppliers, the products, and the warehouses all in sort of one big table, just to make sure that your data is complete and accurate. And then the last one is the transaction details. The transaction details, like I mentioned before, is the very lowest level of detail within your environment. And what that basically does is give you a big table of all of that information. This one has been limited to only display a specific number of transactions, and this can obviously be changed. So the idea is just to demonstrate that if you have a system where you post thousands and thousands of transactions or invoices a day, and you don't want people to be able to export, the last 2 months of sales invoices, or that can all be limited and controlled with security. But what this one basically does is we need to start making selections before we can display this table. And from a performance point of view, you also don't want to look at a table with 5 million rows worth of data. So if I go and select the year 2022, you'll see I've got enough now, so my table will show immediately. So now I've got all of the detail for the year of 2022. I can see who posted the documents. I've got the document number, the customer code, the name, the item code, the name, quantity, value, GP percentage, and discount. The last thing I want to speak about is the Qlik Associative engine. So this is very unique to Qlik, and it's a patented technology that they use. So no other BI tool is able to provide this level of information. And what that basically means is that we are always evaluating and looking at the entire data set all of the time. When I make a selection like I've just done here, the year 2022, I can look at these filter boxes and I can see that there's some gray bars available. So within the customer group, there's some gray bars within the item group, etc. And basically what that means is that for the year 2022, Qlik is looking at my entire data set and saying, but that there's 3 months that doesn't exist within the year 2022, but it does exist in other years. So if I look at this, I can immediately see those 3 has been excluded, which makes sense because we haven't sold anything for October, November, and December. But if I look at January, February, March, I can see now that the customer group gray bar has increased. So for those 3 months, I can click on that and I can see that I haven't sold anything to these guys. So if I want to look at these guys, I can select the excluded and I can go and investigate why I haven't sold anything to these guys. So by making that selection, I am now looking at their data. And if I jump back to my customer sales analysis, I can start evaluating this information. This one specifically is customer groups that we don't really use. So you can see everything is pretty much 0 in the system, but you can start asking those questions on why I'm not selling to these customer groups within my environment. Okay, as you can see, there's a supplier and general suppliers, which could be supplier groups as well, and which makes sense why there wouldn't be any customer sales against that. All right, so that sort of concludes the demo of the template that we've done. So I'll jump back into our presentation now. And now I can talk about the action part of everything. So this is where we start looking at alerts and automations within this environment. So we've looked at how we can dive into the data and understand it, etc. But now we want to sort of trigger and alert ourselves when certain events take place. So if I jump back into my data set over here, or this application, one of the first things that I want to show you is how easy it is to create an alert. So if I just on any of these charts, I can right click. Firstly, I can subscribe to it. So if I want to receive this little table or this little chart in my inbox every day, or in my Teams notification every day, I can subscribe to it and have it delivered in my inbox. I can create an alert. So if I create a new alert here, I can say that if my sales for customer Earthshaker Corporation for the year, let's say 2022, and for the month of September, or maybe we don't even link it to a month, we can just say that, well, let's look at Maxitech. If those sales goes above 3 million, I want to get a notification. Or if the gross profit drops below 59%, I want an alert. And I can create those alerts right from this chart by making the selections that I'm looking at and creating that from here. If I've got the application on my phone, the Qlik app is available on all of the telephone services, so Apple, Android, as well as I think Windows. I can download the application. I can get push notifications on my phone. I can even subscribe to a messaging service, so I can get text messages if I want to alert myself or alert users with that. I can also create notes. If I want to create a note from here, I can create a note with a snapshot. I can mention one of my colleagues. So if I just start typing the @ as we all know, and I can say that I want one of my colleagues to, please have a look. I can save that, and they will receive a notification with this chart, with the selections that I've made, and they can start investigating. I can also just close that. I can also monitor this in the hub. So when I go to my home page, if I just quickly jump in there, I've got all of these charts, which I can, without doing anything, just opening my browser, logging into my environment, I can immediately see where my sales are at. I can see it's sitting at 1.7 million. I can subscribe to any or monitor any chart within this environment. And then the last one I want to talk about is application automation. And what that basically does is allowing us to create certain events on and triggers based on criteria that we define. And one of them is distributing a PDF document of one of my dashboards to a list of customers or a list of employees or anything like that. And this is done by application automation. So with this, there's a lot of templates available. So if I just start saying I want to maybe notify someone on Teams, I'll just type that, notify your team on Microsoft Teams based on a measure. So if I want to do that, basically saying that if I have a change in measure, so the gross profit has dropped below a certain amount or has increased or whatever the criteria might be, I can go through everything in here and just set that up as an automation. that can either be set on a schedule based on a refresh, a data refresh. It can be a manual run. So if you want to only run it on demand, that can all be done with the configuration in the application automation. And then the final one is the report writing. So, well, report services. If I just go into an application over here, I can basically create this entire dashboard the way I'm looking at it now and package that into a PDF and distribute that. So I can also manually download it from here. So I can download the sheet. I can subscribe to the sheet. So I can also have the sheet in my inbox every day. But I can also package this and send it out to specific individual on a daily basis or monthly or whenever. All right, and that brings me to the end of this demonstration. The next one here, we're looking at this is some of our Qlik customers. We have customers across a various range of industries. And just some information on Qlik globally. And these stats are astronomical. Top 10 of the top 10 largest global manufacturing companies use Qlik. And you can see all of these 7 out of the top 10, 10 out of the top 10 largest pharmaceutical companies. And these are global numbers, so it's pretty spectacular. And this is basically the end of my demonstration. And I'll hand it back now to Amanda to talk about our SAP Business One starter pack for Qlik.
Thanks, Wynand. Thank you for everyone for your time and attention today, and especially you, Wynand, for giving us your great rundown of the power of Qlik analytics for SAP Business One. So I just wanted to let everyone know about our special limited offer for SAP Business One users to get up and running fast with Qlik in a week. So our Qlik SAP Business One starter pack fast track offer kicks off today, and it includes the 50 KPI reports and dashboards that Wynand showed us today. The license cost isn't included, and it's valid until the end of November this year, so 2022.